Our organization was founded in the aftermath of the disappearance of my son Jason. It's going to be 10 years this June that he disappeared with no trace, no clues, no leads from the driveway of our home on a nice summer day in the middle of the morning. And this is
Robert Cook. My daughter Rachel disappeared January 10th, 2002, so we're going on 10 years soon also. I have an organization, but not anymore. But we're going to try to give you a little bit of insight about working with psychics, because we've both had a lot of experience over the past 9 or 10 years, and we wanted to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly, just like I said that Chip did at the meeting. And most of it's not good. But anyway, we're going to leave it open, and we'd like you to hold your questions to the end, because we kind of let people talk in the middle. Last time we ran slow, a little late, and we don't have. We're already over time. Okay.
Okay. So again, consider that we're trying to give you the information that you need to be armed with to make the best decision for your case, your family, your loved one. Anytime that you're making a decision about something very important and critical, you always research all angles, and then you come to a conclusion, hopefully based on logic and facts more than on emotions. And as we all know, when we're in this situation, what seems to prevail? Emotions, our heart, our anxieties, our fears. So we're just arming you with information. So we're going to cover types of psychics, tools of the trade, what are the methodologies that they use. We're going to cover some actual cases and some situations in which psychics played a part, mostly unhappy parts. Then we'll have a Q&A, and then we'll have a summary. And Robert's going to start out with the types of psychics.
Yeah, I'm only going to go over a few of these because there's so many. We'll go more into examples later, but we've mainly dealt with ones that are mediums and channelers and people that what you call projectionists, ones that can
remote viewers.
Remote viewers that can see through another person's eyes. I had one fellow that took a pen like this, and he would do this and draw maps and things. He called himself a channeler, but according to this, that's not what that is. Channeler is defined more like a medium in this case. And all these will be, Kelly's going to put them up on projectjason.org, so you can download this presentation later. So you can see there's many, many, many of them. And because we ran slow last time, I'm going to go over a lot of these. Other than the fact that you may encounter almost all of these. I mean, some of them you won't. But I've had dreamers. I've had the mediums, and just about probably about 50% of these different types.
So should we just write down our questions?
Yeah.
The questions should arise.
Right.
And Robert, you're blocking.
Okay, sorry. Let me stand on this side, and then I can read better. And then I'll get the screen. So, and as you can see, a lot of these cases are there are several people that run into groups. I'll give you some examples of some. How many people have seen the show Ghost Whisperer? Okay, that is the creative consultant on that is James Von Prague, who I've met and worked on Rachel's case. He came out. But anyway, he came out one time with a show called Insider. Now, don't get that confused with Inside Edition. Inside Edition is a good show. But the Insider is one of these what's coming up next time shows, that really never covers a lot. But the first time I talked to them, they were going to do a show on Rachel, and I said, okay, I didn't know much about the show. But then when they called back, they mentioned they were going to bring Von Prague. By the time they came, he showed up with 3 other psychics. And he called them their dream team. So that's So basically, he sees dead people. So, and then there's the people that, like Sylvia Brown, that, I don't know what you do, clairvoyant or some, what you classify her, that basically things they just come into their head. And then I already talked about the guy that was drawing. So those are some of the cases. I had one of the first psychics. We drove around, and he actually was able to describe some people, and we actually made some drawings of potential suspects. He said there were 2 males and 1 female involved in Rachel's abduction. So there were a lot of different types, but I'm not, as I said, I'm not going to go through all these because we could possibly take care of all the time. So I'm going to jump over and let Kelly talk about some of the tools of the trade, or I call them tricks, that they use.
Tools of the trade, common terms used, and I know a lot of you heard about this, as psychic might say, they're near water, they're near trees, bushes, barns, fences, all those sorts of things, but they want to cover their tracks, and they're vague, so that later on they could try to claim they're right. Because if you look at those 2 things, let's say I said they're nearby water. Okay, so how are you defining water? Is it a lake? Is it an ocean? Is it a stream? Is it a creek? Is it my bathtub when I have water in it? How do I define that? How do I define nearby? Does it mean this close? Is it across the room? Is it a block away? Is it 3 miles away? What's nearby? So I cover my bases. They try to use official-looking props, and you'll see a video later on, oddly enough, that uses this very prop with the area map. They may look up information ahead of time about the case, and maybe even mark things on the map, and Robert gave an example of using maps too. There's also a mythical statement that psychics like to use to convince you that it is definitely real in a scientific way, and that's that we only use 10% of our brains. Well, when, for medical reasons, somebody is doing one of those magnetic tests, and they give you stimuli, and they watch the brain and how it fires in different areas, but it's not firing in one area, or in 10%. It's firing in all different places, depending on the stimuli that they're using. Also, if you hear about, let's say, a case where a man was shot in the head, do you hear the doctor saying, well, thank goodness that bullet went through that 90%? Of course not. So then we're going to get into some different methodologies, such as cold reading. So what is cold reading? It's a technique used by psychics to get the victim to react in a specific manner and make that victim believe that I or whoever have psychic abilities. There's a lot of psychology behind it. You've probably heard of mentalists, and mentalists are not psychics, but mentalists are almost on the line of magicians. They know psychology, they know human reaction, and so they can have a conversation with you, be talking to you, pick up things from your facial expressions, body language, and other means to know that they've done something. They've met the target.
Show, right?
Pardon?
Show, mentalist, right?
Yeah, I have never watched it, so I can't really say what that's like. Hot reading is a method used by psychics to gather information ahead of time, and many times they'll do that. One of our cases I just heard from a week or so ago, and said a psychic had contacted them with this piece of information about their son's case. And this family's like, how did they know that? But then they did a little research, and they found out that this piece of information was indeed posted on the internet. Some other relative had posted it a long time back, so they didn't remember that it was on the internet, but it was. So I'm going to skip shotgunning just for a moment. We'll come back to that. Worm reading. Anybody read horoscopes? Okay, so you know you have a certain sign, and so for the certain sign, they're going to say this is going to happen to you, or this is your personality, you're like this. But if you notice, if you read some of the other signs, you'll notice, that sounds like me too. Because they use commonalities. They use things that are general to most